This week on Milk Street, we travel to the Ezba restaurant in the Galilee Valley. We make a couscous with chicken and chickpeas that's delicious, then a quick recipe for Muhammara, which is a walnut bread dip, and finally, with Reem Kassis, author of the Palestinian Table, a chicken and potato Traybake. So please stay tuned as we transform chicken with the flavors of the Middle East.
Funding for this series was provided by the following.
For 25 years, Consumer Cellular's goal has been to provide wireless service that helps people communicate and connect. We offer a variety of no-contract plans, and our U.S.-based customer service team can help find one that fits you. To learn more, visit consumercellular.tv.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Where are we going this morning?
So we're going to this restaurant called Azba, and it was opened in the early 90s. It was one of the first restaurants that catered to people who wanted to enjoy home cooking outside of the house. It's him and his wife who run the place. Habib, and his wife is Minerva. So he cooks a lot of the traditional rustic dishes. His wife is going to show us maftoul, which is, it's similar to couscous but much larger grains, and maftul means roll because of the movement that you make with your hands when you're rolling the flour around.
So it's just
the bulgur.
water in the flour and the
Water
bowl.
and flour, yeah. You start out with a bit of bulgur just so the flour has something to wrap around, and you keep rolling and rolling until you get these pearl-shaped pieces of dough. So the challenge here is that you want every grain of bulgur to be wrapped in flour. What you don't want is to end up adding too much water or too much flour and having grains that are just flour and water. So that's where it's challenging, and you have to keep rolling, and she's at a point where she knows just by touch how much flour, how much water. Are you willing to try?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get this the first time. I don't want to mess that up. Should I do it as a separate one?
You'll be fine. No, she says it's okay. She'll fix it. Don't worry, go for it.
Okay. Right, so. No, see, that was 5 seconds. Okay.
Clockwise.
This way? This way?
The same
Clockwise.
direction that she was going in.
I
yeah.
see. Okay. Now you feel it and tell me what it needs.
Yes, we need water now.
Okay. A little more?
Chris, you're better than me. I don't even know how to do this.
Better than someone who's never done it isn't that saying very much. Tell me, you've never done this?
Never done this, no.
Reem, you wrote the book on...
My mother and grandmother do it. They probably
see.
don't trust me yet. This is the mughrabiya that we just saw Minerva rolling, the maftul inside with the chicken and the chickpeas. Yeah, I can't wait to try that one. Shall we dig in?
Yeah.
Everything was delicious.
It was so good. How should I say thank you?
Shukran.
Shukran. So I was in Galilee, the valley in northern Israel, a few months ago, and I went to the Ezba restaurant, and they made maftoul, which is barley, and they roll it in flour, as we saw. Very difficult to do, but it ends up being like a couscous. And they make a dish, where they cook onions, they cook chicken, they put them together with chickpeas and the maftoul. And we had, I don't know, a dozen different dishes at the restaurant. I have a tough life, you know. But this was my favorite. It was really good. So we brought that back here, and we thought we'd adapt it and make the dish here.
Okay. I mean, I would pay to see you sit down with a pile of barley and 3 flours and get to work, but I realize that probably is not going to happen.
It depends how much you pay. I'd be happy to do it. So, go ahead.
Well, we're gonna make a little bit easier version that we can have for lunch. So to get started, we poach some chicken in water. You can see it's just at a very bare simmer. You want skin on, bone in chicken, because that's gonna add a lot of flavor and body to the broth, and you don't wanna overcook it. But this has been hanging out here for just 20 to 30 minutes. We have some onions, some bay leaf, and now we have this delicious broth. So first, we're going to remove the chicken.
Now, in the restaurant, the pot was about this big.
I'm sure.
Because they were making it for quite a few people. And the aroma in that kitchen, everything was fresh, it was local, it was great.
Okay, so now I'm gonna strain the cooking liquid, and we only need about 4 cups. The rest you could save for a soup. I wouldn't discard this, it's so good. But we're gonna use 4 cups just to cook the couscous.
I'd just like to point out, because we argue about stocks all the time, if you make a stock with water and bone-in, skin-on parts, you have a lot of flavor.
And fast, right? I mean, this
Yeah.
is 20 to 30
Yeah.
minutes. All right, so we have about 4 cups, and since you're the expert, Chris, I'm gonna put you to work. We're gonna remove the skin, and we have a couple of forks here. We're gonna remove the meat from the bone and chop it up, and then we will move on to the next part of the recipe.
Okay.
Nice work with that chicken, Chris. You did good. So now we have quite a bit of onion here. This is like 2 or 3 medium onions. And we're gonna cook it for 7 to 10 minutes. You just wanna take the edge off, maybe get a little browning to build some flavor. It's gonna continue to cook when we cook the couscous, but you don't want crunchy onions in your
Well, I should
maftoul.
mention, at the Esba restaurant, this dish had a ton of onions. I mean, they had a big vat of them, but onions was not just a little bit of sofrito at the beginning, it was actually a key ingredient in the recipe, so.
All right, so now onions are soft. I'm gonna add some spices. So we have nutmeg and cinnamon and cumin here, so really warm spices. And some garlic. And we just wanna let those bloom about 30 seconds till it's nice and fragrant. Could you hand me the salt, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Gonna season it with some salt and pepper. All right, and now I'm gonna add the pearl couscous and the reserved broth here. So Chris, this won't be exactly the same as that barley coated in the 3 flours, but the pearl couscous is really nice here. It has a little bit of a chewy bite to it, really nice texture. So I'm gonna let this come up to a boil, and then I'm gonna turn it down to a simmer, cover it, and let it just go for 5 to 8 minutes. You do wanna check on it so it doesn't get overcooked, and then we're just about done.
Okay.
It smells pretty good,
Oh, that does smell good.
right?
Yeah.
You can see that the couscous looks nice and chewy. I just wanna see if it needs any more salt and pepper. So good. I actually think the seasoning is on point. So I'm gonna add the chicken. Could you hand me the pomegranate molasses? I'm gonna add the chickpeas. This is just a can of chickpeas. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of pomegranate molasses to give it some nice tang, which really balances out those earthy
I was
flavors.
getting worried because I saw that bowl. I think if you dump that in there,
Yeah, that wouldn't be
a
so
little much,
balanced.
yeah.
Just half the parsley. We'll save the rest to make it look beautiful. And then we're gonna make this even prettier. We're gonna drizzle on a little bit more of the pomegranate molasses for some extra tang. And then sprinkle on a little bit more parsley.
it looks great. Oh. You know, it has so many layers to it. I know I say this all the time, because there's spices, there are different ingredients, there are different textures, which is also one of the reasons I love it, because it has the couscous and the chicken.
And it's really just a handful of ingredients. Most of them you'd have in your pantry.
So pearl couscous with chicken and chickpeas. It's really 4 different things: onions, chickpeas, couscous, and chicken. You make your own stock, which is very easy to do. So you're simply cooking the chicken for about 20 minutes. Lots of big flavors in here, lots of complexity, a lot of textures, but an easy recipe. And we should say thank you to Minerva and Habib. Thank you from the Esba
Thank you.
restaurant. Great recipe. You know, lots of recipes don't translate very well from their origin to the United States, but there are a few recipes that really do with almost no changes. One of them is a dip called Muhammara. In Arabic, that refers to the reddish color of the dip. And that's because it's made from walnuts, roasted red peppers, and some bread to thicken with some spices and oil. Now, there are two kinds. One is you toast the walnuts first, and I think that gives you a very heavy flavor. I don't really love it. I had a great version at a little restaurant near the Sea of Galilee in northern Israel, and it wasn't toasted. The walnuts were not toasted. It was very fresh and lively, and that's the kind of Muhammara we're going to make now. Now, the first thing you want to do, and you do this very often in any kind of Middle Eastern cooking, is toast the spices. So this is 4 teaspoons of ground cumin. Put that in a skillet, put the heat up a little bit. This is just going to take about 30 seconds. You don't want to overdo it, but just when it becomes very aromatic, that adds a lot of flavor. I can already start to smell it. If you let it go too long, it's going to darken. It'll burn very quickly, especially if you're dealing with a ground spice. Now we have the first two ingredients. Pita bread, a 7-inch pita, torn into rough pieces like that, and a couple walnuts, again, not toasted. And we'll process this for about 45 seconds. Nice and fine. But you don't process it so long, the walnuts get oily, it'll start to clump up like sand. So this is nice and light. So we have our 4 teaspoons of cumin, which have been toasted. Those go in. We have 2 12-ounce jars of roasted red peppers. It's much easier to buy these than to do it yourself. Make sure you pat them dry. They have a lot of oil on them as well. Now we have the rest of our spices. This is Aleppo pepper. Obviously this comes from, or used to come from, Aleppo, Syria, no longer because of the war. You can find it now from Turkey. It's called silk chili, but it's very fruity. It's not that strong, and that is, it's not that spicy, not that hot. It has a nice fruity flavor. If you can't find it, you can just leave it out. Some red pepper flakes, about half a teaspoon, kosher salt, and black pepper. And we'll put those in, and we'll give it another 30 to 45 seconds. So now we're going to add 2 other ingredients, lemon juice to brighten it up, and pomegranate molasses. Pomegranate molasses is just pomegranate juice which has been cooked down. So it has a thicker molasses texture, and we'll process that for just a few seconds. Now we'll add 6 tablespoons of olive oil to finish. We'll drizzle that in while the processor is running. If you can get a really fruity, light olive oil, that's great here. You don't want something that's got a lot of catch in the back of the throat. This should be a light, fruity spread. So this looks fabulous. I'm going to drizzle with a little bit of olive oil. You can also add a little bit more pomegranate molasses on the top if you like. We have a little parsley as well. So it looks nice and bright. Let me take a little bite just to see. The secret really is not toasting the walnuts, I think. It keeps them nice and light. The lemon juice, the pomegranate molasses, just a few minutes in a food processor. Muhammara, it's the perfect dip. It's easy to make. It tastes absolutely great. So this is a recipe that translates nicely from the Middle East to your home. And we love it here at Milk Street, and we think you'll love it in your home as well. What are we cooking today?
So we're cooking chicken and potato bake. Very simple. It's spiced with allspice, olive oil, my mother's 9-spice mixture.
You know, the idea of a Traybake is something I heard just recently, about a year ago, from Nigella Lawson. Yeah. But I guess it's not really an English thing because we're here in a Palestinian kitchen and you're doing Traybakes.
We call it siniye or sawani, plural. It just literally means tray.
Families have their own spice mixtures. It's not like there's one, you know, ras al hanout or something.
No, no.
So you have a 9-spice mixture. What's in that?
Pimento, allspice, cinnamon. There's nutmeg, there's mace, there's cloves, there's cardamom, there's cumin, there's coriander, and black pepper.
I mean, this is richly colored. It looks great.
Well, let's try it and see if it tastes as good as it looks. So these are all legs, so the meat should be juicier than
You can't overcook it.
I love the crispy skin. Let me get you some nice crispy potatoes as well. Do you want me to show you how I do it?
Mm-hmm. You mean squeezing the garlic?
I just squeeze it out. Then it's kind of like your own sauce.
Great flavor. There's no pre-cooking. There's the marinating of the chicken. Throw in the oven, you're done.
And also the chicken doesn't overcook. So let's say you have company coming and they're late. You keep the oven on but at a lower heat. It'll be fine because of the juices. It'll keep it moist. And even on a weeknight,
Yeah.
super quick. You come home from work, you throw it in, and within an hour, it's done.
know, years ago, I swore I would never do baked chicken parts again. But every time I swear off something, I ended up doing it anyway. So when I was visiting Reem Kassis in the Galilee Valley, she made a Traybake, which just means on a sheet pan, and it was unbelievably good. And it was because her family has a spice mix with 9 different spices, and she roasts these whole spices every couple of months and keeps them fresh and uses it on everything. So the takeaway here is make your own spice mix, and she puts that on everything. And it's just this go-to way to take something as boring as baked chicken parts and turns them into something. I made it for Christmas, actually. It's just great. You've made it recently, right?
I've made it a bunch of times. It's part of my repertoire. It's our favorite kind of recipe, right? It's simple, but packs a ton of flavor.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is because of this really great spice blend. And that's what we're gonna make here. So we have 9 beautiful.
9, count them. Yeah.
They're beautiful spices. We're using whole spices that we're gonna toast and then grind ourselves. That's the best way to get a lot of flavor out of your spices. We have allspice, we have black pepper, cardamom pods, we have coriander, cinnamon sticks that we broke in half, cumin seed, some cloves, nutmeg. It's a piece of nutmeg that's just kind of cut in half. And then we have blades of mace. And this is something that's kind of unusual. You don't see it very often. Typically we find ground mace, so if you can't find blades of mace, you can just add ground mace to your spice blend after it's already ground up. So I'm gonna put these in a cool skillet. And we do that when we toast spices so that we don't overcook them and burn them. So I'm just gonna drop all these guys in here.
Well, you want to just say a word about why we're starting with whole spices?
So we're using whole spices here. We are allowed to toast them in the pan. We get a lot of flavor out of it. We're gonna grind them ourselves. And then you can keep this spice blend for up to 3 months. We're gonna make probably about a cup of this.
Whole spices that you toast and turn into ground spices is about 20 times better than buying ground spices at the supermarket.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just gonna turn this on over low to medium heat. Again, we don't want these spices to burn. So we're gonna toast these really just until we can smell them. And then you wanna immediately take them out of the pan and let them cool. We wanna make sure that they're cool before we put them in the grinder. Some of the steam that comes off that can affect its texture and flavor. So I have all those spices that we toasted. They cooled. They're in this spice grinder. We're gonna grind them up. All right. Smells amazing.
Wow.
It's so different than if you just put a bunch of ground spices in a bowl. Wouldn't have this amazing smell to it. So I'm gonna take a couple tablespoons of this and add some olive oil, some salt, and this is pomegranate molasses. It has a really fruity, floral kind of flavor and taste. It's one of the things in here, not just the spice blend, but pomegranate molasses is what makes this such a special chicken and potato dish. If you can't find pomegranate molasses, you can substitute with some honey and lemon juice. All right, now we're gonna add our chicken and potatoes. We're using bone-in, skin-on chicken parts. You don't wanna use boneless, skinless here. That will definitely overcook. We're using a pretty hot oven, and you can use whatever parts you want. We're using whole chicken that we cut down, but if you prefer just thighs or if you prefer breasts, you can do what you want.
You know, when people tell me I can do whatever I want, they never mean it. It's never true.
Bitter.
No, just experience, that's all.
And then we have some red potatoes. These are on the larger side because we want these nice wedge shapes. They're gonna cook at about the same rate as the chicken. So I'm gonna add those in there and get them nice and coated. I like to use my hands because it's a little bit easier to get everything coated with this. So we're ready to add everything to our tray for our tray bake. The first thing we're gonna do is add the garlic that we're gonna use to make a pan sauce with later. And I'm gonna put the garlic in the middle of the pan, and then I'm gonna arrange the chicken kind of around the garlic, like a chicken wall for the garlic. And it's going to protect the garlic from burning in this hot oven. And then we can just arrange the potatoes kind of around the chicken.
So, me being me, I would just dump it all onto the sheet pan instead of doing this. But is the chicken around the garlic really key here?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you doubting me?
No, I'm always looking at a recipe going like, do I really have to do that?
It really is important because if we put the garlic kind of strewn about on the sheet, it's not insulated from all of the heat. This is a 450-degree oven that we're using here, which is pretty hot, so you really do want to protect your garlic. But it's going to get really nice and sweet and soft as it roasts in there, and then we'll use it to make a really, really great and simple pan sauce right on this sheet. It's going to take 30 to 40 minutes or so, and we'll come back and we'll enjoy our sheet tray chicken and potatoes. So look at this meal on a sheet tray. It looks beautiful, am I right?
And you did not lie, because the garlic is not over roasted.
It's beautifully browned right there in its little safe haven.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the chicken and the potatoes off. The skin is actually really nice and brown. You can still smell all of those spices.
Well, this is sort of like spatchcocking a chicken, right? I mean, you're cooking it in one layer, so the white and dark meat,
Yeah,
you don't have
it's
to
really
worry
great.
about.
So as I said, we're gonna make a really great simple pan sauce right here on the sheet tray. And it's gonna start with the garlic. So I'm gonna mash this up, pour some water on here, and use that to just sort of deglaze the pan and just try and scrape up as much of that flavor that's on that sheet as I can. We have some of that spice mixtures on there, a little bit of the chicken. All of that is great flavor for our sauce.
So this is two things. It's an absolutely absurd concept, making a sauce on a sheet pan, and it's a great idea because it actually works, right? I mean, it's my favorite thing.
All right, so I'm just gonna pour this over the chicken. What kind of chicken do you like? Leg?
Well, I choose white meat when I know it's a great cook. I like white meat.
Whoa.
Please. If I'm not so sure, I'll go for dark meat.
I'm gonna take a leg, not because I don't trust myself, but. So
There you are.
we will finish with a little drizzle of pomegranate molasses. A little parsley. For me, that's salad, so all of the food groups are
Now we have
represented here.
our green vegetables. Is that what you're saying? Oh, this is juicy. Oh, this is like when I first had it with Reem Kassis. I was going like, baked chicken parts. I didn't quite get it. And then I took a taste. It was like, it was just amazing. And I've made this dish many times. So it's a little ode to homemade spice mixes.
Exactly.
Right? So if you're anything like me, you've probably gotten to the point in your culinary career where baked chicken parts is just not part of your repertoire. But I gotta tell you, this is just amazing. The spice mix makes it, also the pomegranate molasses. So a chicken and potato Traybake, very easy to do. Just throw in the oven for about 40 minutes.
Amazing.
Little spices on top and you're good to go. You can get this recipe and all the recipes from this season of Milk Street at milkstreettv.com.
Funding for this series was provided by the following.
For 25 years, Consumer Cellular has been offering no-contract wireless plans designed to help people do more of what they like. Our U.S.-based customer service team can help find a plan that fits you. To learn more, visit consumercellular.tv.